Back in 2017, I was coordinator of the temporary exhibition Devil of the Brush. This was held at Palazzo Falson in this room, but this room was transformed. It was a very contained exhibition, but the whole point of it was to shine a light on artistic bravura and the speed with which an artist executes a work of art.
The exhibition celebrated speed. It celebrated technical virtuosity, artistic virtuosity, and explored the dynamics between invention, impulse, and the realization of a work of art. In the general history of life, there is this tendency to associate speed and dexterity with the devil, because the devil is always around and the devil tries to trick you. And this notion of the devil being partly responsible for fast work is also imprinted in art, hence the title of our exhibition, The Devil of the Brush. There's this beautiful story about Luca Giordano, who, after completing an older painting in less than 3 days, the Viceroy of Naples retorted by saying, "Look, this is not the work of an angel, it's the work of the devil, a demonio." We have stories of Paganini and music. He was considered to be as though it's the devil at play. And this therefore takes us to Giuseppe Calì. Giuseppe Calì, who was this very important protagonist of late 19th and early 20th century art in Malta, was a fast worker. And his rival, Cortese, Carlo Ignazio Cortese, coined the nickname, the Devil of the Brush. And this is the point of departure. This was the point of departure for our exhibition. It takes on the idea of fa presto, on the idea of being a virtuoso.
So far, the nature of these exhibitions at Palazzo Falson have always been related to object d'art within the Palazzo Falson collection. What we've done in the past is that we've chosen an item within the collection of Olaf Golscher, and we've expanded on that. That means we go to the private collectors, do all the research, and see what they have within that context, eventually choose the items and have an exhibition on that concept. Basically, they've been quirky exhibitions to date because we've done whistles, we've done pipes, we've done fob watches, snuff boxes, so all a little bit quirky and eclectic, as is with the Golscher collection. So with speed, we decided to go in a completely different angle to the normal form of our exhibitions. The idea of just expanding on object d'art was something we thought would move away for the first time, and this was going to be a first in the series of this type of exhibitions until eventually we had COVID hit. We were very excited about this concept, which Professor Sciberras brought to the table, and we worked very well with Professor Sciberras. Undoubtedly, he knew where all the right items were.
As coordinator, my role was to start way back, more than a year before we actually put on the exhibition, but we started to research in private collections and in various collections, and we were visiting these collections and seeing what objects, what works of art people had, which really reflected the concept of the exhibition that we were trying to demonstrate. And this was a very exciting process because, as you can imagine, every person's collection is going to be a bit of an Aladdin's cave.
We were conditioned by the size of the room, by the size of the hall. Therefore, we were conditioned by showing small works. Now, in in any exhibition that one works on, there are these fascinating dynamics that one needs to show. One, the most important thing is the thread, is that there is a conceptual thread, and this thread was speed and virtuosity. So that's rather simple. But the other thing concerns the choice of the works. Now, when you visit an exhibition, you expect to find major works, the most important works, so iconic works. And we had, for example, drawings by Mattia Preti, and we had Melchiorre Gafa's Charity of St. Thomas of Villanova. One expects to find something that has never been on show. Therefore, we had to see that we found those works that were known but are in private collections, therefore not easily accessible. But one also expects to find new works, works that were never seen.
The role of a coordinator is to make sure that everything comes together within the brief and the direction of the curator and the artistic director. So I had to take care of things like logistics, transportation of the works of art, not only transportation for the display in the exhibition, so to bring them here into this hall, but also to transport them for photography.
The challenge, and this is where we worked hand in hand with the exhibition designers and obviously with Patrimonju, was how to show them, the paragons. Because when you have a small space, you have to be very careful. One, you have to be careful about the access, because you do not have the long line of sight that large halls give you. So you're immersed in a room and you have them next to you. So the designer and the lighting specialist played a fundamental role. And then there were works that we placed close to each other, that we clustered close to each other, and works that we had to separate. So we had paintings or drawings by Mattia Preti, drawings by Francesco Zara, drawings by Giuseppe Calì, obviously, because he was the protagonist. We had drawings by Julian Trevelyan, his sketchbook. Julian Trevelyan walking through the countryside and doing these very fast sketches one after the other. We had these beautiful on-site drawings by Edward Lear. So we tackled the landscape. We tackled narratives, religious narratives. We also tackled portraiture. We had the plaster cast of this extraordinary portrait bust by Censo Apap of Winston Churchill. And there's this wonderful story about it. Vincent Apap was called up to London to model this clay statue for a bronze bust of Churchill. And it seems that Churchill only gave him 15 minutes when it was expected. He had expected sessions of 45, 2 or 3 sessions of 45 minutes. And we are told that Censo Apap had waited for Churchill for a couple of hours in the room next door, and Churchill was in a cabinet meeting. Then he walked in, he sat on his chair, smoked his cigar, drank a scotch, rose and left. But on his way out, he went to see the bust, and he was taken aback by the speed of it all. And there's this beautiful story that Churchill walked out to return with his entire cabinet to show them this extraordinary bust. Well, what was this all about? It was about talent, but it was also about speed, about the beauty of fast work.
One of the star exhibits that we included in this exhibition was the bozzetto of St. Thomas of Villanova of Melchiorre Gafa, the celebrated Maltese sculptor who made such a great name for himself in 17th century Baroque Rome. And this is one of the few surviving artifacts that we have in Malta, indeed in the world. And this bozzetto is made of terracotta. It's not very large, but it's beautifully executed. There was a point when we had to put it on the plinth, which was prepared specifically in this room. In fact, I'll just take you to see this little room, which was dedicated to the Gafa. We closed it off, and we had it painted, and the plinth was ready. The glass cover to cover the plinth, and it had a mirror on the back, and I'll explain why. What was really interesting is that for the first time ever, it was the curator's idea to display the Gafa statue from the back. So the back was presented to the public. We had a mirror on the back of the glass cover so that people could see the front of the sculpture projected through the mirror. But the whole point was to display the back of the sculpture because it was there that you could see this idea of speed. It was there that you could see the rawness of the execution of the sculptor, how he plied the clay, how he handled the clay and left it rough, and so rough that you could actually see his fingerprints, the fingerprints of 17th century Melchiorre Gafa left there for us to see.
We also produced a catalogue. When we say we, it's Patrimonju Malti. So here I should acknowledge the roles of Francesca Balzan, Michael Lowell, Lisa Attard, and the entire team at Patrimonju. Well, the catalogue is a wonderful small publication. It includes 2 essays. There's an essay that I wrote on the rationale of the show, and then there's another essay by Dr. Tiffany Racco, who engages with a more theoretical context of speed and dexterity in art. Then there's the list of exhibits at the very end, and the beauty of that room in Palazzo Falson is that it allows for immersive engagement. So once you're there with these works almost cocooned around you, the space gave the opportunity to the audience to understand the concept of the show, that we were exploring these extraordinary dynamics between speed and genius.
This concept of not specifically choosing an object of art or one specific item and expanding on that is now a direction which FPM would like to go into. We would like to change this idea of just having one particular object to promote the Maltese patrimony, and we're looking at diversifying and maybe amplifying the idea of concept.